Aloha Aina, and welcome to Voices of Truth, one-on-one with Hawaii's Future, brought to you by the Kiwani Foundation. I'm Ehu Keikahu Cardwell, and here we are today in Honolulu. We have a great guest, so let's go on over here and meet her. Aloha.
Hi, aloha.
Kamuela, how are you?
I'm Mai Kai. How are
Good.
you?
Introduce yourself to everybody.
Hi, aloha mai. Kamuela Kalai.
And tell us where we are today.
We are standing on the Makai side, not Makai, actually Diamond Head side of Koiha'o Church, and we are right next to some burials here, the cemetery. There's the missionaries that are buried there, the white tombstones, and there are actually more here. They're all, I think these are all missionary families, all in the front.
Okay, but this is the church right here, yeah?
That's the back of the church.
Okay,
yes.
and Kawaihao Church, for our viewers outside of Hawaii, this is the oldest Hawaiian Christian church in Hawaii, yeah?
I'm not sure if it's the oldest. It is the Ali'i Church.
Okay, it's
it
one
is
of
the Ali'i Church. It is the mother church. This is where the Ali'i came to church, to pay their respects to the Christian God.
So back in the old days, this is where the rulers of Hawaii worshiped, right in this building right here.
From I would say probably not all of the rulers. Kamehameha III deeded this land over to the missionaries so they could build this church. But
Yes,
but he was not a Christian.
Right.
He wasn't a Christian.
So this goes back to the mid-1800s.
Well, this is where I believe Lili'u Okalani attended services, but I'm not too sure what other Ali'i attended services here other than her.
Wow, okay. All right, so that's a little bit of the history of the church, but why we're here today is not only because of the history of the church, but what's going on here in the present day.
Absolutely.
And something's going on here that is not so good.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Well, it's more than not so good. It's heva. It's very, very wrong. Koiha'o Church is planning to build a brand new, what they're calling the multi-purpose center. Okay, it is a...
And that's right over here where this fence is, yeah?
It's behind the fence. That's the construction area, and that is the area where the former Likeke Hall once was. That's been demolished to make way for this new multi-purpose center. And in the process of constructing this building, they haven't even laid any foundation yet. In 1940, when Likeke Hall was built, there were approximately 117 iwi kupuna, the bones of our ancestors, were removed for that building.
Hold on one sec. You mean to tell me they dug people up?
Yes, in 1940. Yes.
Wow.
Well, you see, the history of this place is that most of the downtown corridor, a lot of the areas were cemeteries, because in the 1800s, our people were dying by the hundreds from the epidemics, smallpox, whatever was coming in. Our people were dying by the hundreds, so they were being buried in areas, because there were no buildings here. There weren't a lot of buildings. So this entire area was all cemetery, even where Koiha'o Church is built. So when Koiha'o Church was built, they actually had to move iwi kupuna in those days too.
Oh, wow.
Because they have a basement. So in those days, there wasn't a lot of documentation. There weren't laws to protect our iwi kupuna at that time. Not too sure how they got away with it, but that was back in the 1800s. And then they built this church, which is actually made out of our ocean. If you look at it, it's a white church.
Yes.
That is the coral from our ocean. And they cut out like 1,000-pound slabs, from what I understand, from the ocean.
From the reefs, huh?
From the reefs,
wow.
Yes. Reefs. The only place they could get white rock. So they cut those slabs out, actually had our people carry them on their backs, cut them and carry them on their backs to this area so they could build this church. So that's actually our ocean that we're looking at, that was used to build this church. And our ocean is where we get a lot of our food from, yeah? That's our ice box out there.
Yeah, so they were they're taking ice out of the ice box,
yes.
Cutting up the ice box.
We're cutting up the ice box,
yeah.
where all the food lives.
So it sounds to me, Kamuela, like there's a long history here of displacement.
Yes.
Either of interrupting the food chain in Hawaii, or digging up people that were buried and thought that they were going to remain there forever.
Yes.
And now, today, even today, this hasn't stopped. They're trying to build this new building over here.
Right.
And they're doing what? They're unearthing more people, yeah?
They've actually disturbed 69 iwi kupuna so far. And the iwi kupuna that they've disturbed so far, they're not even in the footprint of the formerly Keke Hall. They actually did some trenching outside of the footprint of the hall.
Yeah.
And this was under an existing road, and they were just trenching to put in some new sewer lines. And they came across 23 separate burial sites with 69 iwi kupuna.
Tell us why you're involved with this.
Okay, the reason I'm involved in this particular issue is because of my great-great-grandfather, Moses Matthew Kuaya, who was a reverend here. He was a kahu, and he was ordained in this church. He was married in this church, and I've done a lot of research on him. He's actually the one person in my family I have the most documentation on, because he was a writer. He wrote, and he worked for this church for 30 years, and so I actually have things that in his own handwriting that I got from the Mission House Museum. He was prolific. I was so grateful to be able to get all this information on him. I just never knew exactly where he was buried. His wife is buried, this is Luna Little's tomb right here. His wife is buried right in the back of that tomb. So I found her grave marker, very clearly marked, said beloved mother, and so she's buried back there, but he's not there with her. And I believe the reason is because he died about 15 years or so before she died, and so that's why I really believe he's in the older part of the cemeteries where Likeke Hall was, because those are older burials. And I don't know if at the time he died, if they couldn't afford a gravestone for him, or it just got lost, or over time something happened. But I have not been able to find out exactly where he's buried, but I'm convinced he's buried in this area.
Gotcha.
where the construction is happening. So when it dawned on me, just this past Christmas Eve, actually, I just started thinking about it, and I was like, hey, I wonder if he's in the area where they're digging up all the iwi kupuna. And it bothered me so much, I had to start doing some research and asking questions, to the point where it's taking me to today, where I am firmly committed, and I have resolved to make sure that they don't dig up any more iwi kupuna. Whether he's in there or not, for me, it's just wrong. It's just wrong. So I have gone to the church, and I've let them know who I am, how I feel. I've gone to the Office of Hawaiian Affairs to let them know. Office of Hawaiian Affairs has some kuleana and responsibility in what's happening here, because they funded this project with over $1 million of beneficiary money.
They gave $1.5 million to this, right?
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
So they're on the hook for that.
They are, and I think they're trying to clean that up or whatever. But we come every Sunday now to peacefully protest. We actually had to jump in one day when Kauke Kuna, senior pastor over here, made it clear that they were going to continue excavations. So I got a call early one morning and answered the phone, and the person on the other side said, "Where are you?" And I'm like, "I'm at home. Where are you? And who is this?" He said, "This is Hale Aloha." I said, "Oh." I said, "What's going on?" He goes, "Well, I'm standing right by my tutu's grave, and the archaeologists are here, and they have shovels in their hands." I'm like, "What?" It's like 6:30 in the morning. He said, "Didn't you get the call?" I said, "No, nobody called me." I said, "I'll be right there." So I flew over Likelike Highway, got here in about 25 minutes. And if you go up the side of the church, on the Makai side, there's some stairs. I ran up those stairs, and I just started calling out there were these archaeologists with measuring tapes and shovels in their hands, and started calling out to them, like, "What are you doing?" And they looked at me like, like, "Why are you asking us that?"
Who are you?
I know. I'm like, "Put those shovels down now." And they just kept looking at me like, "Oh my God, who's that woman yelling at us? And why is she yelling at us?" So all of the archaeologists, except for one of them, kind of walked away to the side. And I looked at him. I said, "Put that shovel down now." He actually went with the shovel 2 times. Like, he was going to go into the ground. He was going to go into the ground. And he went, chunk, chunk. Hale Aloha was right on the other side by his tutu's grave. He jumped over, and he immediately went up to this man and was like, "Oh, you need to stop." So I was like, "Oh, okay." So I ran around, went around to the other side. I just went right up to him. I said, "What are you doing?" He goes, "We have a contract." I said, "What are you doing?" I said, "My grandfather might be in this ground." I said, are you telling me you're gonna?" I said, "You need to stop." He goes, I said, what if this was your grandmother? Would you be digging her up, or would you let somebody dig her up? And he goes, well, it depends. I'm like, oh my goodness.
On what?
That's what I said. On what? I said, oh my goodness. I said, where's your grandmother? He said, oh, Oakland, California. I said, then you better go talk to her. You know, you go check it out with her. You want to go dig her up. That's between you and her. But I'm telling you, this is my grandfather. Might be in this ground. You need to put that shovel down now. And he's so, I don't know, he held on to his shovel like for dear life. And I was like, oh my God. I said, put the shovel down now. And my voice started to get a little loud. So he goes, you know, I would appreciate it if you kept your voice down because this is a church. I said, I would appreciate it if you put your shovel down because this is a church. At a cemetery. I was just going nuts, just trying to reason with this man, and he still refused. Anyway, he ended up being the head of the company that is contracted to dig up the EV.
So the money, follow the money.
Absolutely. I mean, they dug up the first bunch of EV, you know, and so anyway, they had some church officials come out and talk to us, and the bottom line was that they were going to have us arrested for trespassing if we didn't leave. They had a legal right to continue excavations. So the day we got arrested, I decided that I was just going to take a sign and just go walk onto the property quietly, not saying anything, and just walk through and just come right back out. Most of the congregation was already in the church. There weren't that many people outside. So I just thought I'd just go, you know, share my manao. That's what I like to call it. Share my manao with whoever wants to know. So I was carrying my sign, and as soon as I came in, there's a sign as soon as you walk in. It says, aloha and welcome to everyone. E como mai. Yeah.
That's what the plaque says up there.
Yes.
Everyone is welcome here, except you.
Well, now, except me. I'm not so welcome anymore, but that's okay. So I walked in, and as soon as I walked in, two people approached me. They said, you can't come in here with that sign. And one of the ladies put her hands on me, and I said, you need to take your hands off of me. And I walked around them. I said, I'm just going to walk through and I'll be right out. He goes, oh, no, you have to leave. You have to leave.
What did the sign say?
The sign just pretty much said something like, pray on Sunday, we dig on Monday. Something like that.
That's good. I like that.
Something like that. It finally got to the point where I was told that I needed to go outside with my sign or else I'd be arrested. So I said, okay. So I said, well, you know what? The police were there I'd say less than 30 seconds. So they're warning me that unless I leave and take my sign outside, that I would be arrested for trespassing. So what I did was I said, well, I'm going to go visit my grandmother's grave, and she's buried right back here.
Right over here,
Yeah, right in the back here, yeah.
Okay.
She said, I just told them, I said, I'm going to go visit my grandmother's grave, and I'm going to go clean it up. I said, you want to follow me? I said, yeah. So they followed me to the grave. I cleaned it up a little bit. Then I walked outside, put my sign back on the sidewalk, made sure all my friends that were holding signs were okay, because there were some police officers there. I wanted to make sure everybody was all right.
So there were other protesters with you at that point?
Yes, there were about 10 of us that day. And then I said, I decided to go back into the church grounds and just go sit on the steps and not do anything. Just sit on the steps and maybe count my blessings. I don't know. So I went back up on the steps. Actually tried to go into the church at one point in time just to maybe attend services, see what they're talking about. As soon as I went to the church door, I was blocked by two men, and they're both telling me, you cannot come in here, Auntie, you cannot come in here. I said, why? He said, oh, we don't want you to get hurt. I said, I'm not going to get hurt unless you get out of my way. You don't get out of my way. I said, no, you cannot come in. They've already dug up about 20 to 30 iwi kupuna.
And they currently have bones sitting in the basement of this church as we speak right now.
They do. They have approximately 20-something baskets, lauhala baskets. These bones have been wrapped in muslin, placed in baskets, been sitting in the bottom of the bell tower of the church for over a year behind a cage door with a chain that's around the door. And I was able to go and visit them twice. And the second time I went down was incredibly sad and painful, just so painful, because I was reminded of a promise that I made to myself and to them the first time I went down, that I would get them out of there as soon as I could. And
so they dug people up.
Yes,
and then they left them disinterred. They haven't put them back.
They don't even have a burial plan yet.
That's incredibly disrespectful.
Very disrespectful. So that's one of my concerns is, we need to take care of our iwi kupuna that you already dug up, put them in a place of honor and respect, and that would be part of the Ho'oponopono. you have to allow the families to come in and help you figure this out.
Yeah.
Because the Office of Hawaiian Affairs hasn't really stepped up to the plate to try to intervene. It led to myself and Ka'anohi Kalekini being arrested last week Sunday for criminal trespass 2.
What is that?
Oh my goodness. Well, when I finally went to see my attorney yesterday, he read me the different trespass laws. And criminal trespass 2 means that you are unlawfully on a property and you're actually doing something unlawful, like maybe painting on the walls or breaking something or whatever. So that charge alone is bogus, number one, because we weren't doing anything unlawful. We were following their instructions and they just wanted us off the property. So I've never been arrested before, so I'm still recovering from that, to be honest. But it's okay, we went through the process. We got booked and fingerprinted and mugshot, and it was awful.
Wow.
It was really awful.
And
$500 bail on top of that.
Oh my
which is
goodness.
even crazy, more crazy.
And Kamuela, really, the only reason you were here was to protect your family's burial plots.
Yes.
Their bones.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. I have 2 great-great-grandmothers that are buried here, so I come and tend their graves. And I'm not too sure who it is that's prompting me to take up this kuleana to make sure that my kupuna doesn't get dug up, as well as any of the other kupuna, because it's what we call in Hawaii, we call it heva. And if you really want to emphasize the heva, it's heva.
Which means a great wrong.
It's a double wrong.
It's
doubly wrong.
Yeah.
So,
because these are really, if you look at the tombstones, and this goes way back.
Oh yes.
Look at the year right here, 1859.
Yes. Most of these are very, very old. Very old.
Wow.
And we actually have a solution. We have an answer to this. We've actually presented it to Kahukikuna about redesigning the building so you don't have to disturb the kupuna.
So this is all solvable.
It's definitely
if they
solvable.
just sit down and talk.
That's all we need to do is get to the table so we can talk.
Wow.
And they just have been very arrogant and standoffish and silent and secretive.
Kamuela, this right over here is where they're planning to build this multi-purpose center, right?
Yes, this is the site.
So, let's talk about the multi-purpose center for a second. Mm-hmm. What is that, if they're able to build that, what's their plans for that building? What's going to happen in there?
Well, I believe what they're saying is that it's going to be used as a social hall, as a place for the kupuna to meet, as a place to have classes and Sunday school, which is all maikai. That's all good. That's what they did with the original Likeke Hall.
So right in here.
Right in here, it says no trespassing, active construction site.
Wow.
The reason that this building is going to be, it's a 2-story monster of a building. It actually will almost dwarf Waiha'o Church. Not as tall, but it's a 2-story monster of a building. The pilings for this building are going to have to go down to the water table, which means they're going to go all the way down, which means they're going to be hitting Evie left and right.
With 30 feet or something,
They have to, because it's a huge building.
Yeah.
So they're saying it's going to be used for social events and workshops and for kupuna to meet, which is my ka'i. It doesn't have to be that big. It actually looks like something that belongs in downtown Honolulu. So what we're telling them is, you know what, you can redesign the building and make sure you don't disturb the kupuna. In fact, incorporate the mana of the kupuna.
Yeah.
They were okay with Likeke Hall. Unfortunately, 117 of them were moved in 1940 to Kamo'ili'ili Cemetery. Then that cemetery got sold. All those kupuna were moved one more time to another place. So they were moved again?
Wow.
Then they all got cremated together.
Wow.
All cremated together. And then they were taken, there's a plaque over there where they're all together, cremated. Now, cremation wasn't a big thing back in those days. Hawaiians don't believe in cremation.
Right.
Even the Catholics didn't believe in cremation for the longest time. So they're all cremated, they're all together. They're all buried over there. There is a listing of names of the ones they could identify. But they didn't inform the families this was going on,
They never told the families?
Well, not that I know of, but I wasn't here in 1940, so I'm pretty sure the laws back there, weren't as pa as they are today. But even the laws we have today aren't protecting our kupuna, so we really gotta...
Otherwise you wouldn't have got arrested.
We gotta beef them up. We have to beef them up. If they can get away with this does set a horrible precedent for future development. And I'm hoping that's not true. I really am. I'm hoping they are open to redesign. I'm hoping that they will respect the families who are saying, no, you can't do this anymore. And the bottom line is, it's not about the building. It's not about the multipurpose center. It's about who gets to speak for the dead. because what the church is now saying is that it is our right, not only our right, but it's our responsibility to take them out of the ground. They are Christians. They gave up their life once. They'd be glad to do it again. And even that is a false statement, because they're not all Christian burials here. There are pre-Christian burials here. You know, there are people buried in the cemetery that are not Christian. You know, they never belonged to this church. There are li'i buried here that were never Christians. So to say that is a total false statement. And that's my thing. It's like, can we just start getting honest? Can we just be honest with what's happening here? Because once you decide to, you know, get to the EO of it, get to the truth and the core of it, then you can figure things out. Right now, we're bucking heads because the philosophy about how this is supposed to be done or not done is in total opposition to each other. And the sad part is we're beefing each other as people.
You're fighting each other.
Yeah, once again. And it's a total clash of philosophy. And I don't even think the way they are interpreting Christianity and the church, it's not even Christian. That's not Christian. Christianity is about love and aloha, bottom line. That's what Jesus Christ taught. He taught love, aloha, compassion, pono. That's what he taught. He didn't need a multi-purpose center building to do that, to share his message of love and aloha. I think the original intent was pono. I don't think they ever intended to disturb 69 kupuna, that's for sure. I think when that happened, they're like, uh-oh, that's why the shifting of permits starting to happen. So, but the fact is you did disturb them. So now you have to deal with it. You can't just keep going like it never happened. And we're gonna do this because we have a right to do it. You don't have a right to do it. We have families. And even if the families didn't come forward, good Lord, it's a human. It is aloha kekahi ikekahi, love for one another, bottom line. It's like, I can't even fathom how they can think that there is anything pono about this.
How could you possibly do this?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I am committed, fully committed to doing what I got to do to make sure that our kupuna here and everywhere are protected. We have to stop it. We have to stop, because it is a horrible statement about us as a people. Anybody who says it's okay to do this, it's never going to be okay, ever. There is a process to protect the bones. The church found a way to kind of get around that process, but it's coming back because there are families that are coming forward and saying, wait a minute, this is not unknown burials. We have family here, we've identified them, we are lineal descendants of these families, you need to stop. So the permit process right now is being, it's getting tangled up for them. So they're having a more difficult time now, and I think they might be open to ho'oponopono. We're hoping that they'll come to the table, because it doesn't have to get nasty or ugly. It really doesn't. No. It doesn't. We never wanted it to be nasty or ugly. So they're the ones who are forcing the action. And when they had this arrested, to me, that was like, okay, you just threw down the first gauntlet. So, if you want to rumble, we can rumble in court, or we can go to the table. Let's just sit at the table like human beings, like family members. We'll beef, when you're with your own family, you beef with your own family members, but y'all gonna love each other in the end. But can we just sit down and talk about this, and have a voice of reason? If you can find it in your heart to bring that aloha and that compassion into the picture and be pono, be balanced, you're gonna be okay. But it's a process that we got to go through, and we're willing to do it, so that's all we're asking. Just
bring it to the table.
Bring us all to the table,
Wow.
and make sure that we have the proper protocols in place. We have the proper kupuna there. We have everybody who has kuleana is at the table, and you put all the weapons down, everything. Leave your opala outside the door and come to the table, and come with your truth, come with your oia'io, and come with your aloha and your commitment to be pono. And then we'll be okay. These kupuna they're holding the ground for us. They're holding our aina for us everywhere. They are the foundation.
People that are buried here.
Yes, well,
yes.
Everywhere.
Yes.
Everywhere. All our kupuna
Yes.
that are buried, they hold the aina for us. They become pili to the aina. They've been, especially if you've been in the ground for over 100 years, even more so. If our kupuna cannot hold the ground for us, then we really are lost as a people.
Yeah.
We don't have a foundation. They are our foundation. They're the foundation of our lahui. So if we cannot step up today and protect them as Oiwi, as natives of this land, and Oiwi, the key word in there is Iwi, it's the bones. You know, we're connected to them through the bones, yeah? Whether you're Hawaiian, whether you're Christian, doesn't matter, whether you're human, it's a human thing. So we need to step up to the plate and make sure that we speak up for them so that when it's our time, somebody will speak up for us. And we're not just digging up bones all over the place. This happens all over the place, worldwide. It's not only in Hawaii, but especially in Hawaii. That should never be happening, ever, ever, ever.
If we disrespect our ancestors who are deceased and we dig them up, isn't that terrible?
Doesn't say much at all for us as a people, as human beings, you know.
And that's where we have to leave it. Mahalo for being on Voices of Truth, Kamuela.
Thank you for having me.
Please don't stop. Keep doing what you're doing. Please protect the ancestors.
Absolutely.
Because they need it.
Yes, yes, absolutely. We're committed. We're firmly committed. Thank you. Mahalo nui.
Yeah, and thank you to our viewers for joining us on this important Voices of Truth. Remember, you can watch us on the web 24/7 on voicesoftruth.tv.com. I'm Kahu Cardwell, and until next time, ahui ho! Mahalo for watching Voices of Truth one-on-one with Hawaii's Future. Watch us on the web 24/7 at voicesoftruth.tv.com. You'll find all our shows, including this one, in case you want to see it again or share it with family and friends. Also view our weekly video commentaries at freehawaiitv.com. And check out our blog, published daily, at freehawaii.info. It's all part of the Free Hawaii Broadcasting Network.